we're talking about security right now. On Tuesday night, last week, Tuesday night, the unthinkable happened right here in the Federal Capital Territory. The Kuje medium security prisons was broken into by insurgents, we've been told, and many of the inmates, about 900 of them, were set free. 500 of them have now been returned, but very disturbingly, over 60 Boko Haram suspects, some of them convicts already, were also let go of in that particular prison break. So far, so good. There have been some updates. Apart from those who have been retrieved, some of the Boko Haram terrorists, I think at least 2 of them, we have been told, have been brought back to the jail, but many of them are still at large. We're still waiting on the authorities to give concrete updates on what they're doing in that regard. So far, so good. The Minister of Interior, who is the one under whose charge the prison is yet to grant any interview in that regard. So also is the Controller General of Nigeria Prison Service, or Nigeria Correctional Service, who is yet to also speak definitively in that regard. They have released statements. That's what we'll have to make do with. But considering just where we were and where we are right now, there has been no concrete update in that regard. Nonetheless, we'll continue to talk about the implications of this and what citizens can do to be on the lookout for some of these people, and if there's anything we can do to put protective measures in place, because there are those who fear that there could be consequences as a result of this. Joining us to discuss this right now is Mr. Felix Ogbaudu, who is a former Assistant Inspector General of Police, and he's joining us here in our Abuja studios. You're welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning, and Baraka de Salah to you.
I wish you same, and thanks for having me.
Well, I do not know if you saw that attack coming, if it was something, as a former AIG of police, did you receive it with shock as well?
Well, to a large extent, yes, because I had expected that all our correctional centers, or custodial, whichever I want to call it, ought to have had adequate security to guard against such jailbreaks, And again, don't forget that most of the correctional centers we have nationwide, these are structures that were built many, many years ago. So it's very easy to break in and break out. But like I said, I wasn't surprised. And I got the sad news I got was that they had a team of soldiers who were there guarding the correctional center. But they were moved out, a new team was brought on board, or maybe the new team didn't know exactly what to do and all of that. But because of the facts that are now emanating, there was a lot of conspiracy within and outside. So it was an easy thing.
Well, this is what we have now been. Some people will say the beans has already been spilled.
Spilled, yes.
There's no need crying over spilled milk.
Yes,
the question is, what can we do to remedy the situation?
Oh, sure.
A lot of people had talked about how they wanted to see the faces, if there was data on the people who were freed, especially for the 60-plus inmates who were Boko Haram suspects and some of them convicts. And we've seen that the Nigeria Correctional Service have put out that information now. But do you think that people will be able to identify people based on those pictures?
Well, to some extent, yes. But those who have out there won't be able to do it. I can assure of that. They won't be able to do it. It's only those ex-convicts who escaped that are known in certain communities that will be very, very easy to identify.
I'm looking at the photographs.
Yeah, those are the photographs there.
Yeah. One of them even is showing the back.
Yes.
The back.
So I'm looking downwards and all of that. So it's...
but this should be clear enough for people to be able to help out, assuming they're able to, they're able to see if they see any of these people in their communities.
Yes. But again, one other problem we will have too is that a lot of people get scared because if you rearrest an escapee, the fear is that there might be a reprisal attack on you who arrested him, either from his family members or from his gang members. So people want to stay away. That's why I have this nonchalant attitude. They're not interested in doing things like that.
But shouldn't we have a duty to educate the public that the fact that these people remain within communities could be a bigger danger?
Yes, that heightens insecurity the more. You see, let me take you out a little bit. Some of these francophone countries bordering Nigeria, in their communities, if a stranger comes in less than 5-10 minutes, the village chief or the village head will be told, look, we have a strange person there. And the local vigilantes will pick him up and they take him to the jail and ask him, who are you? What are you here for? And all of that. But his attitude is nonchalant. That's a problem. A lot of these things that are happening, people are aware. You can imagine kidnappings going on, people are riding motorcycles, a convoy of 10, 15 motorcycles. People are seeing their past and all of that.
From your perspective as a former security man, I'm sure you're still very much in the security world.
Yes.
When you analyze how our response has been in the wake of that jailbreak, would you say that we have handled it well in terms of our response and also in terms of how we've been able to mobilize the people to be on the lookout for these people?
No. We have not. We have not. In fact, there was a program I attended sometime last week. There was something I suggested. I said, look, we need to include security education in our school curriculum, right from the primary to the secondary to tertiary. We need to enlighten all Nigerians because on the issues, there are do's and don'ts when it comes to security issues. That will also go a very long way to help us. Then, of course, public sensitization in all the various media, be social media,
security in schools. I mean, that would be
and electronic and all of that.
Yeah, that would be a long-term solution.
No, it is not a question of long. These are things we can do now, but our response is that it's a long time.
No, what I mean is if you're going to put something in the curriculum, it cannot be a knee-jerk reaction.
No,
they have to understand how to put, what to put, and in such a way that students will be able to imbibe it. It will not be to solve this Kuje prison break.
No, we're not talking. I'm looking beyond that. I'm looking beyond that.
Indeed. So, but in the immediate, looking at what we currently have on the ground and perhaps the implication of what that could portend for the country, would you say that we're on the right track to actually solving the consequences of what happened in Kuje?
No, we're not. Now, let me start with this. The architectural design of all our correctional centers, those structures are too old, some are dilapidated. I was in the US some years back and I had the privilege of going to a correctional center, a prison yard in Atlanta. If you see the structure, you think it's a 5-star hotel. And the access control is such that it is not easy for prisoners to escape. But ours is you find a weak gate, somebody just comes, hits it with an iron rod or something, or a big stick, and the entire thing collapses, and they go and everybody's brought out. So if we can redesign all of those correctional centers, fortify them, so that anybody that wants to go there to attempt to release any detainees will have a rethink. That's
also long-term.
Yes. It's not long.
Or medium-term.
Let me tell you, it's not long-term. It's not long-term. We have the resources.
What I'm saying is that is not going to solve what has happened in Kuje. I mean,
no.
As they're rebuilding Kuje, first of all, they have to patch it up right now to ensure that,
The immediate solution is to provide adequate security, intelligence gathering, Like I used to say.
Do you believe that is currently going on?
No. That's what I'm telling you.
How do you know that?
If it was going on, these guys wouldn't have succeeded.
I'm saying now.
And from what they said, a good number of them were Okada riders within the community, and they had linkages with people that were inside. That was why they worked out like that, easily. And they overwhelmed the few security guys that were on duty that day. And that takes us to one point I always made. Nationally, beyond the prison jailbreak, the number of security personnel we have in this country is grossly inadequate for the size of Nigeria and its population. If you take the police, for instance, United Nations ratio is 1 police officer to 400 persons. Here we are talking of a population of well over 200 million. We're having a police force of less than 450,000. Out of all that figure I just called, so-called VIPs have something attached to them. Some of these VIPs go about police officers, their plate numbers are covered with black nylon and all of that for whatever reasons. Instead of us to emphasize collective security, we're emphasizing individual security. That's what I always talked about overwhelming security nationwide. Some people might want to reject that, disagree with me. Oh, that if there are too many, people will feel threatened. But I say no. Because in the absence of security operatives, criminals are emboldened to carry out criminal activities.
So if you had the opportunity to advise governments right now in the wake of this jail breakup, and apart from what you talked about, the fact that we need to start security education right from elementary school.
Yes.
The fact that we need to take a second look at our prisons and, determine what
restructure
yes. What else would you be saying we need to do right now? First, to prevent this from happening again, and also to bring back those who have escaped from the prison.
One, within every correctional center, there must be very, very effective, credible, reliable access control. You don't just drive in from the vehicle and that's the gate of the prison. No, it shouldn't be like that. There should be access control from one point to the other. And the center should also be well restructured, fortified, and secured. But access control is prime, is key. So the entire thing should be properly built up solidly. And if need be, it will be monitored all around, not just where you're coming in. You have people to monitor it. If you want to put CCTV, fine. Have CCTVs there, fine, that'd be very fine. But it's only one place to enter there. But most of these correctional centers, you can even attack it from whatever side.
What about bringing the inmates back?
Well, that is going to be a collective responsibility. The prisons officers cannot do it all alone. But what they need to do now is to keep on publishing their photographs in the newspapers and on television screens and even on the social media with their names. And I'm sure if they go into their database, they might be able to tell us even where they come from. These guys from Akure in Ondo State, these guys from Ikorodu in Lagos State, these guys from Oka in Anambra State, these guys from Port Harcourt in Rivers, these guys from Calabar in Cross River State, things like that. That will also go a very long way to help people. So when you see someone from a community, this is a familiar face. It's within the community.
So the faces need to keep playing out.
Yes, that's right.
In our consciousness,
yes, that's right.
People.
Precisely, because the more you see them, the more you remember. So that when you see them, say, this is one of the criminals. Just like the police arrested one of the Boko Haram suspects, escapees from a national state here a few days back.
Well, we'll see how well they are able to take this advice on board and, just what results they're able to reap from it. But we have to thank you very much for a very frank analysis this morning. Mr. Felix Ogbaudu is a former Assistant Inspector General of Police, and he's been speaking with us here in our Abuja studios. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me, too.
We'll take a break now. We'll be back shortly to discuss just another matter. In a moment, please stay with us.